My beloved brothers and sisters, many people wake up every morning chasing money, running after opportunities, stressing about the future, yet they forget one powerful truth. Risk is already written. The question is not whether money will come. The question is, are your daily habits inviting it or blocking it? As we step into 2026, imagine starting each day with habits that don't just increase your income, but invite barakah, peace, and divine openings into your life. Today, I want to share 3 daily habits, simple, powerful, and deeply Islamic, that can transform the way money flows into your life by the permission of Allah. Listen carefully, because sometimes what you change in 5 minutes a day can change your entire financial destiny. Money does not come from effort alone, and this is a truth many people struggle to accept in a world that glorifies hustle, sleepless nights, and constant striving. Effort is important, yes, but effort without the permission of Allah is nothing more than movement without destination. You may see 2 people working the same hours, with the same skills, the same qualifications, yet one finds doors opening effortlessly while the other remains stuck despite trying harder and harder. This is because provision is not created by hands, minds, or strategies alone. It is released by Allah at the exact moment He wills. When the heart truly understands this, anxiety begins to loosen its grip, and the believer works with peace rather than panic, knowing that outcomes are not chained to effort, but to divine decree. Allah is Al-Razak, the ultimate provider, and His provision reaches people in ways they could never calculate. Sometimes it comes through salary and business, sometimes through protection from expenses, sometimes through contentment that makes little feel like plenty. A person may run after money all their life and never feel satisfied, while another receives modest means and lives with dignity and calm. This is why reliance on Allah does not weaken effort, it purifies it. When you work knowing Allah controls the results, arrogance disappears when you succeed, and despair disappears when things are delayed. You understand that effort is your responsibility, but distribution is Allah's decision, and that balance protects the heart from breaking under pressure. Many people unknowingly turn effort into an object of worship. They trust strategies more than supplication, contacts more than prayer, and planning more than tawakkul. When effort becomes the source instead of Allah, fear enters the heart, fear of losing income, fear of competition, fear of the future. But when Allah is recognized as the true source, effort becomes an act of obedience rather than desperation. You work honestly, you avoid haram shortcuts, you sleep knowing what missed you was never meant for you, and what is written will reach you even if it has to travel across the world. This understanding transforms how a believer approaches wealth. Money is no longer chased with obsession, but received with responsibility. Success no longer leads to pride because you know it was granted, not earned independently. Failure no longer leads to humiliation because you know delay is not denial. When effort walks hand in hand with reliance on Allah, the heart remains firm, the soul remains grounded, and provision flows according to wisdom that the human mind cannot fully grasp. Daily habits quietly shape risk in ways most people never reflect upon, because they focus only on major decisions and overlook the power of repeated small actions. In Islam, sustenance is not only connected to what you earn, but also to how you live, how you speak, how you treat others, and how consistently you remember Allah. A person may search endlessly for a breakthrough, while the real change lies in the unnoticed habits they repeat every single day. The way you begin your morning, the words you allow on your tongue, the sincerity in your prayers, and the discipline in your character all play a role in opening or restricting the flow of sustenance. Rizq is sensitive to consistency, and what you do daily carries more weight than what you do occasionally. When a believer builds daily habits rooted in remembrance and obedience, barakah begins to settle into their life naturally. Regular prayer performed on time, even when life feels busy, creates spiritual order that reflects in worldly affairs. Speaking truthfully, fulfilling promises, and avoiding small acts of dishonesty may seem unrelated to money, yet they form the moral foundation upon which sustainable provision is built. Many people unknowingly damage their rizq through habits like constant complaining, neglecting gratitude, or engaging in minor sins they consider insignificant. These actions accumulate, and over time they create unseen barriers that no amount of hard work can easily break through. Daily habits also train the heart to either trust Allah or depend solely on the material world. A person who begins each day with remembrance aligns their mindset with reliance, patience, and clarity, while someone who starts the day in heedlessness often carries anxiety, distraction, and fear into their efforts. Even small habits like giving charity regularly, seeking forgiveness frequently, or making dua before work slowly reshape one's relationship with sustenance. These actions soften the heart, attract divine mercy, and invite openings that logic alone cannot explain. Rizq is not always about increase in numbers. Sometimes it appears as ease, protection from loss, or unexpected support at critical moments. Over time, daily habits carve pathways in a person's life, either leading them closer to barakah or slowly distancing them from it. A believer who is mindful of their routines understands that consistency in good actions is more beloved to Allah than occasional bursts of intensity. The unseen world responds to what is repeated, not what is rare, and Allah places blessings in the lives of those who show up for Him every day, even in small ways. When daily habits are aligned with faith, sustenance flows with wisdom, timing, and depth that cannot be measured solely by wealth or status. Spiritual discipline is one of the most overlooked keys to attracting barakah, because many people measure success only by visible wealth and forget the unseen dimensions of blessing. Barakah is not simply having more, but experiencing ease, stability, and goodness within what you already possess. A person may earn a large income, yet live in constant stress, debt, and dissatisfaction, while another survives on less, but finds peace, time, and fulfillment in their days. This difference is often the result of spiritual discipline, the quiet commitment to obey Allah consistently even when no one is watching. When a believer disciplines their soul through prayer, patience, and restraint, Allah places a special blessing in their life that cannot be achieved through financial growth alone. Spiritual discipline trains the heart to prioritize obedience over desire, and this directly affects how wealth behaves in a person's life. Guarding the 5 daily prayers, lowering the gaze, avoiding haram income, and being mindful of one's speech may seem unrelated to financial outcomes, yet they purify the channels through which rizq flows. Wealth that comes through discipline carries light, while wealth gained without restraint often brings hidden trials. When a person resists shortcuts, refuses dishonesty, and accepts lawful limits for the sake of Allah, they may feel restricted temporarily, but Allah replaces that sacrifice with something far greater in quality and impact. Barakah also grows through discipline in time and intention. A believer who organizes their day around prayer finds their time stretching in ways they cannot explain. Tasks get completed with less exhaustion, opportunities arise without constant struggle, and worries begin to settle. This is because discipline creates alignment between the soul and divine order. When life is lived according to Allah's guidance, chaos gradually gives way to clarity. Even acts like waking up early, maintaining cleanliness, fulfilling trusts, and being consistent in remembrance may seem small, but they invite angels, mercy, and tranquility into a person's environment. Unlike wealth, barakah cannot be stolen, measured, or displayed. It is felt in protected relationships, steady health, meaningful progress, and resilience during hardship. Spiritual discipline ensures that when wealth comes, it benefits rather than harms, and when wealth is delayed, it does not break the heart. Allah grants barakah to those who show sincerity in their daily worship and self-control, allowing their provision to nourish both their dunya and their akhirah in a balanced and dignified way. Consistency in small acts carries a power that many people underestimate, because the human mind is often drawn to dramatic changes and grand efforts. In reality, Allah loves actions that are consistent, even if they appear small in the eyes of people. A short daily dua, a small amount of charity given regularly, or a few moments of remembrance each morning may seem insignificant, yet these repeated actions create momentum in the unseen world. Financial openings often come not as sudden miracles, but as gradual shifts in ease, clarity, and opportunity that are the result of steady obedience over time. What is repeated daily becomes rooted in the heart, and what is rooted in the heart shapes one's relationship with sustenance. Small acts performed consistently also protect a person from burnout and despair. Many people begin strong, making large promises to change their lives, but when results do not appear immediately, they lose motivation and abandon the effort. Consistency, however, teaches patience and trust. When a believer commits to small daily acts for the sake of Allah, they are no longer driven by immediate outcomes but by sincerity. This mindset attracts divine assistance because Allah rewards perseverance that is quiet and genuine. Over time, these small acts accumulate like drops of water carving a path through stone, eventually opening doors that once seemed sealed. Financial openings are often tied to character development rather than sudden income. A person who consistently speaks truthfully gains trust, and trust leads to opportunities. Someone who consistently fulfills obligations becomes reliable, and reliability attracts partnerships and growth. Even habits like maintaining cleanliness, being punctual, and honoring agreements may appear ordinary, yet they create an environment where success naturally flows. Allah places acceptance in the efforts of those who show up daily with discipline and integrity, allowing their work to be noticed and valued without excessive self-promotion. Consistency also nurtures gratitude and humility, which preserve the blessings that arrive. When a person is accustomed to showing up for Allah in small ways every day, they are less likely to become arrogant when provision increases. They recognize that what came gradually can also be taken away, so they remain mindful and responsible. These small acts become a form of protection, ensuring that wealth does not corrupt the heart or destabilize the soul. Over time, what began as simple daily habits transforms into sustained financial ease, stable growth, and openings that align perfectly with divine timing and wisdom. Intentions carry a weight that far exceeds numbers, amounts, and outward appearances, yet many people judge success only by what can be counted and displayed. In Islam, the value of an action is rooted in the intention behind it, not in its size or visibility. A small effort made sincerely for the sake of Allah can outweigh large actions performed for recognition, pride, or fear. When it comes to wealth and sustenance, this principle becomes especially powerful because money easily corrupts intentions if the heart is not guarded. A person may earn little yet remain deeply content because their intention is pure, while another earns much and remains restless because their intention is tangled with ego and comparison. Intentions shape how wealth behaves in a person's life. When money is sought with the intention of responsibility, independence from begging, supporting family, and giving charity, it carries light and benefit. But when wealth is pursued for status, competition, or validation, it often brings anxiety and dissatisfaction regardless of the amount. Allah looks at the heart before He looks at the hands, and when He sees sincerity, He places barakah in what is earned. This is why two people can give the same amount in charity, yet one is rewarded immensely while the other gains little, because one gave seeking Allah's pleasure and the other gave seeking approval from people. Pure intentions also protect a believer from despair and greed. When the goal is obedience rather than accumulation, delayed provision does not shake faith, and increased provision does not inflate pride. The believer understands that money is a tool, not a destination, and this understanding creates balance. Even daily work becomes an act of worship when the intention is to earn halal, avoid harm, and contribute positively. Ordinary tasks take on spiritual value, and effort feels lighter because it is anchored in purpose rather than pressure. Amounts may impress people, but intentions move the unseen. Allah multiplies rewards based on sincerity, not scale, and He opens doors for those whose hearts are aligned with Him. A small income earned with honesty and gratitude can be more blessed than large sums earned with neglect and arrogance. When intentions are constantly renewed and purified, wealth finds its proper place, serving the soul instead of controlling it and allowing sustenance to flow with dignity, peace, and divine approval. Seeing 2026 as a year of trust, action, and tawakkul requires a shift in mindset from fear-driven living to faith-centered effort. Many people enter a new year carrying the weight of past disappointments, financial worries, and uncertainty about what lies ahead. Islam teaches that the future is not something to be feared, but entrusted to Allah while taking responsible steps forward. Trust begins in the heart, where a believer accepts that Allah's plan is always wiser than personal expectations, even when outcomes do not align with desires. When trust is established, the heart becomes calm, allowing decisions to be made with clarity instead of panic. Action is the visible expression of that trust, because tawakkul is never passive. A believer who truly relies on Allah does not sit idle waiting for miracles, but moves forward with intention, effort, and discipline. Entering 2026 with this understanding means working hard while keeping the heart detached from results. You plan, you strive, you learn, and you improve, but you do not let success inflate your ego or failure crush your spirit. Action grounded in faith removes desperation from effort, transforming work into a form of worship and patience into a source of strength. Tawakkul completes the balance by teaching surrender after effort. Once a believer has done what is within their capacity, they release the outcome to Allah without constant worry or regret. This kind of reliance frees the mind from obsessive overthinking and allows peace to settle even during uncertainty. When setbacks occur, tawakkul reframes them as redirection rather than punishment. When opportunities arise, it reminds the believer to remain humble and grateful. Living with tawakkul means accepting that what reaches you was meant to reach you, and what passes you by was never written for you. Approaching 2026 with trust, action, and tawakkul also reshapes priorities. Wealth, success, and progress are pursued without compromising faith or character. Halal is chosen over fast gain, patience over shortcuts, and obedience over convenience. This mindset creates resilience because the believer is no longer shaken by fluctuations in income or circumstances. Their confidence is rooted in Allah, not in stability of the world. When trust anchors the heart, action aligns the body, and tawakkul seals the effort, life moves forward with purpose, dignity, and inner certainty regardless of what the year unfolds. My beloved brothers and sisters, when we reflect over everything that has been said, one truth becomes clear. Money, success, and provision were never meant to control our hearts, but to test how we walk toward Allah. Rizq is written, yet our daily habits, our intentions, and our discipline determine how that rizq enters our lives and what it brings with it. When we place our trust in Allah, act with sincerity, and remain consistent in even the smallest good deeds, we invite barakah that no amount of wealth alone can provide. Effort finds meaning when it is tied to reliance, and ambition finds balance when it is guided by faith. As we move forward,